You've tried eating less, you've tried intermittent fasting, you've tried keto and Whole30, cutting carbs, and hitting a lot of protein every single day. And yet you're still gaining weight, still exhausted, still standing in your kitchen at 9 o'clock, wondering what the heck is wrong with you. But here is what I want you to know and hear deeply right now. There's nothing wrong with you, but everything is wrong with the approach. Every single one of those strategies was designed for a body that runs on way different rules than yours does right now. And today I am going to show you the one thing that actually changes it: a single plate. No tracking, no app, and no starting over on Monday. Just a plate. And I promise by the end of this video, you're going to look at your next meal completely differently. So here's what's actually happening in your body after 40 that no one's really talking about clearly. In perimenopause, your hormones, specifically estrogen and progesterone, start fluctuating, okay? And one of the things that those hormones do is help regulate your blood sugar. So when they stop dropping and shifting, your body becomes way more reactive to blood sugar swings than it ever was before. And that means when you eat less and when you skip breakfast and you eat this little tiny sad salad, or you just try and get through your afternoon with coffee and some quick sugar, your blood sugar crashes. And when your blood sugar crashes, your body reads that as a stress signal. Okay, so it is going to spike cortisol, and that is your stress hormone. And cortisol tells your body to hold on to fat, especially the dreaded belly fat. So the very thing that you're doing to lose weight, eating less, is actually triggering that exact hormonal response that makes your body store more. So before you start thinking it's a motivation problem or a discipline problem, it's actually not. It's really about your biology. And what your body needs right now is not less food, it needs more food consistently. And meals that keep your blood sugar steady so that your cortisol is staying calm and you're not having very many cravings and your body finally feels good enough and safe enough to let go of the weight. That's what you need. And that's exactly what we're going to show you how to do today in this video. So I want to introduce you to something I call the easy plate. No macros, no tracking, and no food skill. Just a 9-inch dinner plate and a simple visual that you will have memorized by the end of the section. And here's how it works. Okay? Half your plate is going to be non-starchy vegetables. Things like broccoli and spinach and zucchini and bell peppers and cucumbers and all the good leafy greens, asparagus, cauliflower, all the things. But look, I know what you're probably already thinking. You're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of vegetables. I don't like vegetables, but yes, it's a lot and it is important. And that's the point. Okay, it matters a lot, especially in perimenopause when you're over 40, because these vegetables are loaded with fiber. And fiber is the thing that slows down how fast sugar hits your bloodstream. So I want you to think of fiber as the brake pedal for your blood sugar. Okay, the more fiber on your plate, the slower and the steadier energy releases, which means no more spike, no more crash, and no 4 o'clock cookie monster going for all the sugary cookies. Okay. And also, you're not standing in the pantry at 9 o'clock and you're like, I just want some chocolate. Just give me some chocolate. Okay. So half your plate. All right. Non-starchy vegetables, every single meal. That change alone can start shifting your energy within days. Okay. Next to your vegetables, you're going to have a little more than a quarter of your plate. So closer to a third, right? That's going to be your protein and healthy fats. Now, look, I know protein is a topic that's like all over the place right now and can potentially send you into a spiral. 100 grams, 1 gram per pound, weigh everything, track everything. And look, I'm not against it because sometimes it's really helpful to know exactly how much you're getting, right? And what exactly 100 grams looks like or what 30 grams looks like a meal. But right now, I want to simplify this to you, because you need to just focus on how your plate looks. And I want you to focus on this plate specifically right now because it gives you the opportunity to understand how to plate your food for fat loss. All right. So you're going to need protein. That is inevitable, but here's how I want you to eyeball it without an app. It's going to be about a palm size portion of your protein. Okay. Palm. That's the thickness of your hand. Okay. That's your guide. And I want you to think about things like chicken and ground turkey and lean beef. All right. Preferably like 97.3. Don't the 80-20 is fine every once in a while, but it's definitely got more fat. Shrimp, eggs, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, okay? A palm-sized portion of any of these gets you into that range that you need to be in. All right. And this is why this specifically matters after 40, because in perimenopause, you start losing muscle faster than you ever have before. And muscle is what keeps your metabolism running. And protein is what rebuilds and protects that muscle. But protein also does something else that matters just as much right now, and it helps keep your blood sugar stable. So a meal with adequate protein means you're not crashing at 3 o'clock. And you don't get rage hangry in between meals. And you also aren't lying awake at 10 o'clock because you're unable to stop thinking about carbs. So, palm sized portion every meal. Focus on that. And the last part of the plate is going to be carbs. All right, look, I'm not going to tell you to cut carbs. What I am going to tell you is that the rule for carbs after 40 is simple. Okay, never eat a carb alone. All right, I call this the naked carb rule. All right, and naked carb, think of it like a piece of toast by itself or crackers or fruit without anything else. That's what's going to hit your bloodstream super fast. All right. So your blood sugar is going to go up, your cortisol is going to follow, and then the crash hits and your cravings start. And that's when you want that chocolate, that caffeine, that muffin, anything that's going to give you that quick energy. But a carb that's dressed, so paired with a protein, paired with fat, sitting next to a half a plate of fiber, that same carb is going to behave completely differently in your body. Okay. It's going to be slow and steady, and you're going to feel full. All right. And you don't need to raid the kitchen an hour later. All right. So here is what you need to do on your plate. Carbs get about a quarter of this space. Now, I don't want you thinking like, I'm going to get a muffin in that space. All right. Or I'm going to get a piece of cake in that space, because those all have their place and time. But I'm talking about things like whole grains and sweet potatoes, brown rice, beans, fruit. Okay, these are all great carb sources, but I just want to make sure they're never sitting on your plate alone. All right, and they aren't taking up more than a quarter of the space. So if you do nothing else from this video, I just want you to start pairing your every carb with a protein or a fat, because you're going to start to feel a difference within a week. All right, and the last piece about all of this is fat, right? We talked about that with the protein and the fat section, but just to give you a visual reference, you're going to get about a thumb size. All right. Fats get about a thumb size serving per meal. So think of this as like olive oil and avocados and nuts and seed. These are going to be your best friend right now, because fats absorb the vitamins from all the vegetables that you're eating, and it keeps you full between meals. And it's also incredibly critical for hormone production, which in perimenopause is not something you really want to shortchange. But here's what I want you to watch. You really need to make sure that you're picking one fat source per meal. Okay. So if your protein is already fatty, so like if you're having salmon or a fattier cut of beef, then you've already got your fat covered. Okay. You don't need to add avocado on top of that. But if your protein is lean, so chicken, shrimp, turkey, a very lean cut of beef, then go ahead and add your fat source. All right. It's not complicated, but you just need to really pay attention to it. So I want to make this real for you, because I know your life is not a cooking show, and likely your kids are asking you what's for dinner, maybe before you even finish your coffee. I know that happens in my house. When everyone wants pasta, you make the pasta and you put a small scoop on your plate, a quarter of the plate. All right. And you're going to pile on whatever vegetables you're going to have. Roasted broccoli, a big pile of spinach sauteed in garlic, right? Whatever is in the fridge. It can even be frozen vegetables. They're not any nutritionally different. And then you're going to add a palm-sized piece of chicken or some ground turkey or beef mixed in, and that's it. This is your easy plate. You didn't make a complete separate meal, but you did build your plate differently. So lunch on a mid-afternoon, when you have just a few minutes, it can be this: a bag of salad, half the plate, a can of tuna or some leftover chicken, palm size, and maybe it's a handful of chickpeas or a drizzle of olive oil for your fat. All right, done. Under 10 minutes, blood sugar stable for the next few hours. But here's the thing. In the morning, when you are not hungry and you just want something sweet because you're not a savory person, let's make it easy. All right. I would love for you to start trying to do something different. Okay, but let's talk about breakfast, because I know I hear a lot of you telling me you're just not hungry in the morning. So I want you to focus on even something small: a couple eggs, some spinach, half of an apple. All right, maybe you add a protein shake on top of that, because 2 eggs is really only 12 grams of protein, and that's truly not enough. So maybe you add a protein shake, but you want to make sure that you're getting your protein and your fiber and your carbs all paired together. Okay, you're not eating a feast, but you're not sending your body into a cortisol spiral before 9 a.m., especially if you like your coffee in the morning. So I want to walk you through exactly what changes when you start eating this way. Number one, the 3 p.m. crash just stops, okay? When every meal has fiber slowing down your blood sugar and protein keeping it stable, you don't get that spike and drop that causes mid-afternoon craziness, okay? Your energy is staying even, your brain stays clear, and you stop needing sugar or caffeine just to survive the afternoon. Number two, eating less stops making you gain weight. I know it sounds totally counterintuitive, but when your blood sugar is stable, your cortisol is going to stay low. And low cortisol means that your body is not in fat storage mode. You're not fighting with your own biology every single day anymore, and you are finally working with your body instead of against it. And number three, the protein confusion is over. Look, I have tracked macros. I know that it's important to really understand what your body needs. But right now, when you're trying to simplify everything, just break it down into this plate. All right. So do that 3 times a day, and you're going to start feeling so much better. One plate, 3 sections, no tracking. And this is what works after 40. So I made you something called 5 days to finally know what to eat in perimenopause, and it's free. And over 5 days, I walk you through exactly what your body needs right now, what to eat, how to build your plate, and why it's going to feel completely different from everything you've tried before. The link is in the description below. Click it, sign up, and day 1 will land in your inbox today. All right. So that's the only thing I want you to do after watching this video. And if this is the first time that eating after 40 has actually made sense to you, if something clicked today that hasn't really clicked before, I would love it if you would hit subscribe. I put new videos out all the time, and I really focus on real food and real energy and real life for the women and the moms, exactly where you are in the middle of all the chaos. And if you're curious about which protein foods that you need to ditch for fat loss, I want you to watch this video right here.